What is up, YouTube? Dots Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you guys the next episode of the Fireside Chat podcast. So I'm going to be talking about today some quality of life changes I'd like to personally see in the Elder Scrolls Online, things that I think would be really beneficial to add to the game. And I know a lot of it can, possibly be solved by add-ons, but it's just some stuff that I think would be really, really cool to see and would make quality of life for PC players, easier because we won't have to crunch on add-ons, and especially console players who don't even have access to add-ons at all. Now, like I said, guys, this is going to be a monthly series when I do this. This is no script, just kind of off the cuff, chilled, relaxed thing, just kind of talking. And all I really have in front of me is just like a couple points of things that I'd really like to see added to the game and that I think will be super, super beneficial. But like I said, I know a lot of people with a lot of the stuff I'm going to say are going to be like, oh, well, add-ons can solve this. But I feel like a lot of the features that these add-ons solve should be part of the game, and we shouldn't have to rely and run add-ons, which which do slow the game down, for every add-on you add. And I don't think they should be random. Plus, console players should have this stuff as well. It's just stuff that I think basically should be in the game, and some other ideas that I came up with that I think would be really, really beneficial. So the first thing that I have a couple of the points here on the screen, but there's a lot more than that. I just kind of wanted to list the first couple I had. The first one is the mail delivery problem. Would really love to see that fixed. I know, especially when I talk to new players, they'll buy things from the guild store and they'll be like, I don't know where it went. Where is it? Why don't I have it? But that's kind of one of those things that I think has been in the game for a long time, and I would really love to see that fixed. That's definitely like a small quality of life change, so that every time I buy stuff off a guild store, I don't have to take a way shrine, port to a new zone, actually get my mail, or log out, log back in. Just, little things like that I think would help. Another thing I'd love to see added to the game is a barber shop where you can kind of change like your hair, your beard, maybe your hair color, things like that. And I know there's some costume, like there's like some collectibles off the Crown store that you can change some to different hairstyles, but I think a barbershop in the game that has like a gold fee attached to it would be much easier, because the price for like the character redo is really high. Like, it's really, really high. And I'm not saying you have to attach everything to this barber shop. Well, like, you don't have to attach like skin color, height, weight, stuff like that. But stuff that has to do with like your character's like face and head, like a barber shop, beard, hair color, any, class or any races that could have piercing, stuff like that. I think would be really, really cool to have barber shops around Tamriel, and I think it'd be a really nice thing for people who are like, oh damn, I want to change my character's hair, but I don't want to spend an arm and a leg to do the character redo through the Crown store, because it is so expensive. It's so expensive. So that is definitely something I think that would be really, really cool. Another thing that I personally would be dying to see is champion point, gear, and skill profiles. And you can even do it where every person gets 2 free. They each get, you get 2 champion point profiles, 2 gear profiles, and 2 skill profiles. And if you want additional ones, you can buy that with crowns. I think that'd be a really, really cool thing, because especially for those of us who do play PvE and PvP, or those of us who have more than one PvP build, or more than, let's say you're a PvE player, you have more than one PvE build. We as PC players are lucky because we have champion point respec, we have dressing room and similar add-ons, but console players have to just manually redo and replace everything, and I can't imagine how annoying and frustrating that is. So I think it'd be a really, really cool idea to be able to save gear, CP, and skill profiles, so that could be reloaded at the click of a button. And I think especially with CP, I understand that it does cost gold every time you respec, but I think you should be able to have 2 profiles that you can switch between without having a gold cost, and more additional ones if you want to pay real money. But otherwise, you have to pay to respec. I think something like that would be really, really nice. I know, like, having to rely on add-ons for that, I'm lucky, like I said, but I can't imagine, like I said, what people on console do. So I think that'd be really cool to have. Another thing that I want so bad, and especially in a game like ESO that has so much inventory management and so much bank management, is search bars for my inventory, depositing and withdrawing things from the bank, and the Guild Store. Awesome Guild Store is a great add-on for PC, but even then, it has its quirks, it has its bugs, and it's kind of like the best option we have. It's not the greatest, but it's really all we have. So I think almost nobody would be running these auction house add-ons if we had a search bar. Like, granted, some people might still run Awesome Guild Store for some of the other filters that it has, but I feel like most people, or not most, but definitely a good sizable amount of people run AGS simply for the search bar, because that makes it so much easier to find things. So that is something that should have always been in the game. Don't know why it isn't. I don't think it would be. I know definitely the search bar for the inventory and for the bank would be like really easy to implement. I have to imagine it's very easy. I know the guild store is probably a little more complicated with like indexing the guild store and actually searching through it. But that is something that I think would be really, really beneficial and would be a massive quality of life improvement. Another thing that I know I've posted about on the forums before, and my thread's really never gotten a high amount of traction, but it's something that I think would be great for the game, is a guild bank withdrawal limit. It's weird to me that in ESO, the guild bank is all or nothing. You either can have access to the entire thing and withdraw the entire bank if you want to, or you have access to none of the guild bank and you can't withdraw anything. I don't like that whole all or nothing policy with the guild bank. And I do think it'd be really nice to be able to set like the number of items a player at a certain rank is able to withdraw per day. You know, and it's basically, you could just make a checkbox that says like number of withdrawals allowed per day, where like 0 is infinite, or you can set a specific number of how many items someone's allowed to withdraw in a 24-hour period. So, you know, let's say somebody who's only at like a veteran rank would be able to withdraw 2 items, and then an officer might be able to withdraw 20, or someone might be able to withdraw 5, you know, whatever you want. And I've had people say like, oh, well, you know, that defeats the purpose for guilds that do auctions and move mass items at once. Well, you could always make an auctioneer rank and give that person as many withdrawals as they want. But the whole purpose of like a change like this to the guild store would be for guild security. You know, obviously, if someone is really determined, they'll weasel their way into the upper ranks, eventually, you know, get what they want anyway. But this is like another level that they'd have to kind of go through to be able to ninja loot a guild bank. And it's just really an extra layer of protection. And plus, like, I know me personally as a guild master, I would definitely allow people to withdraw stuff from the bank if I could give people smaller limits, like allow them to withdraw 1 thing or 2 things per day, instead of letting, you know, opening my entire guild bank up for the opportunity to get swiped. You know, too many guilds have talked about this, and I just think it's something that needs to be in the game. Another thing is account-wide settings and keybinds. Please add this. Thankfully, Votan's keybinder makes it really, really easy to use keybinds across your entire account, but it is annoying to have to rely on an add-on for that. We shouldn't have to rely on an add-on for that. You know, there could be a simple check mark, right? Where when you're in your keybinds, you can check a box that makes your keybinds for that specific character account-wide or character specific. I know World of Warcraft has it, and I would love to see that type of feature added to ESO. And then you could do a similar thing with the settings, so that, you know, when you create a new character, you don't have to redo the settings every time. I know that one might be a little bit more challenging. But I think keybinds, you know, you should be able to do account-wide keybinds. Another thing would be, and this is attached, I think would be a good thing to attach to ESO Plus, kind of in the same vein of the craft bag, you do a siege bag where you can basically store all of your Cyrodiil Siege and similar items in like I said, a siege bag, like a war crate or whatever edgy name you want to come up with for it. But I think something like that would be awesome, and it would definitely, I think it would even encourage more people to buy Siege, because I'm sure part of the reason that some people don't buy Siege when they're in Cyrodiil is because they're like, oh, I don't want it cluttering up my bag space. But having something like the siege bag would be awesome, because, you know, I could go and buy, like, you know, so many freaking forward camps, so many ballistas, so many trebuchets, and then just have them all in the in the bag and never have to worry about them taking up my inventory space. And again, you attach that to ESO Plus, and it gives ESO Plus even more value, which means that people are more likely to spend the money to buy it and to subscribe. I just think it'd be a really, really cool feature to add. Another thing, and I actually, as I'm recording this, the Bethesda Live is going on, I think, from PAX, and I had this written down prior, but I believe this is going to be added, is being able to change your character order on load screen. I think that's definitely something people want. They want to be able to move all their high-level characters to the top and move their low-level characters to the bottom, or organized by faction, however people might want to do it. But that's something that should be in it. And I think as I'm saying this, that is currently being announced anyway. I'm recording this on August 31st. So, hooray. We got one in there. Another thing, and this is kind of one that I've been thinking about, and I think it will make Cyrodiil a much more enjoyable experience, is I think you should attach the minor gallop buff to Battle Spirit. I think it would make traveling around Cyrodiil significantly easier, and it wouldn't be attaching something like Major Gallop like you get from Rapids, so Rapids would still have its purpose and its use. But attaching Minor Gallop to horses in addition would just make the traveling significantly easier. Because Cyrodiil's a huge map. It's massive. And I know that the population's been brought down, brought up, changed to this, changed to that, to make Cyrodiil a bit more easy to travel around. But I think, you know, or to like make Cyrodiil with like the lag and stuff, like, you know, they've raised the cap, lowered the cap to help prevent lag. But where it is now, there's just so much running. Like, you know, sometimes I do feel like I log in, I'm playing Horse Simulator. So I think having Minor Gallop attached to Battle Spirit, you know, it's not a buff that you get unless you're on your mount. And just that little bit of extra movement speed will make getting where we need to go that much faster. So I think that'd be something nice to have. I know a lot of people do as well. But that's something I think would be pretty cool. Another thing is that the default buff system that you guys put into place, that's also put in the game, like the buff tracker and debuff tracker, was like almost good. You know, it was like really close to being good, but I still think it falls short in a couple of areas, and that is mainly the customizability. It's like, okay, I can display all of my buffs, including buffs that are permanent or last like for, you know, for 2 hours, all on a horizontal bar above my skill bars. That's not good in my opinion. That's not a good design. You should, in my opinion, make like different zones on your screen. So you can make like the area right above your skill bar like zone 1, make the bottom right of your screen like zone 2, make another one right on the bottom right, make a zone 3. Your debuffs on your target will obviously be like zone 4, and you can move and change things around and put things where you want. You can put or you can make those bars movable, make different categories. I just think that the buffs, the buff and debuffs trackers that you guys put in needs to be expanded upon, because currently it is extremely limited. And I know me personally, the reason I still use add-ons is because I don't want to see 26 buffs in a row on above my skill bars. I can't keep track of anything. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. You know, another cool thing would be to track my buffs only, like my skills only, you know, to be able to keep track of just my skills and not other people's skills. It's little stuff like that would make that system much more robust and much more customizable, so that people can really pick and choose what they want to see. I think would really go a long way, because currently I still think the buff and debuff system is extremely limited. I only personally use the debuff bar because, you know, that is well done, but for the buff tracking, it's not customizable enough to really be used by a massive amount of players. Like, I know that's all console people have, but again, more customizability would really just help everybody. People would not have to run add-ons. The game would run smoother. It would just be better. Another thing would be batch creations for professions. So like alchemy, enchanting, provisioning, be able to create in batches. So you could be like, I want to create 75 potions, and then just press create once, instead of having to sit there and just smash your key for 5-10 minutes while you're creating potions. It'd be really cool to just be like, set this to go, and it just goes. You know, that would be, or, you know, you can even set it to whatever number you want, and then obviously it stops whenever you run out of ingredients. Just like a little thing like that would really, really go a long way. Another thing would be guild halls. Guild halls, and I know like we have guild houses already, right? Like, and that's usually done through like a player saying, you know, this is the guild house. Anybody from the guild is welcome, and it's in like the message of the day, and people can travel there. But what would be really, really nice is if you made like in the homepage of your guild, right? You could set someone's house to be the guild house. So like, for example, you know, let's say, you know, because I know people are gonna be like, well, what if it's not the guild master that wants it to be the guild house? So let's say there's an officer who will be like, I want that person's house to be the guild house. So in the home screen, you can go choose guild house, and then you choose it. A list of members comes up, and then you can select that person and be like, set their primary residence as guild house, and then like a notification can be sent to them to be like, hey, your house wants to be selected as the guild house, and you can either hit accept or decline. If you hit accept, it automatically changes the permissions of the guild house to make it open to all guild members of that guild. Or if you decline, then obviously you decline, and then it would just be like a button on the home screen of the guild, so you could just click travel to guild house instead of having to sort through and, you know, figure out who is the guild leader and then where, or has the guild house and where to travel, blah blah blah. And then if it's you as the guild master that wants to make it the house, you could just be like, set my primary residence as guild house. Like, it's just something in the base interface. So I do still think that, especially newer players who don't really understand the housing system as much when they first start, they might not even know that their guild has a house, you know? And I just think it makes it a little bit more obvious and a little bit just kind of easier to use. Again, quality of life. And then the final thing, and I know that I'm going to sound like probably a broken record saying this, but big ticket bug fixes, like big ticket items, need to be addressed, or at the very least communicated about. You know, like heavy attack bug, CC break bug, sprint bug, like all that stuff that really affects combat and can really mean a life or death, like life or death in a PvE or PvP encounter. That type of stuff needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Like, I understand there's some weird bugs where it's like, well, if this person's in this spot on a Tuesday and this happens, but then that person looks to the left, then this skill misses. Like I understand that there are weird bugs like that, but like big ticket stuff that affects the player base as a whole, that type of stuff needs to be hammered out immediately, or as quick as possible. And then some of the bugs that maybe are those big ticket items, but maybe really hard to root out. Because look, I'm a programmer. I understand, you know, that stuff can be really, really hard to find the root cause of what is causing this weird problem to happen. And if that type of stuff can't be figured out, you know, in an incremental patch cycle or in a full patch cycle, you know, let's say going from like you know, Wolf Hunter to Murkmire, let's say there's still a big bug that hasn't been addressed, like let's say like sprint bug, right? At least in the patch notes, it should be like, making progress on sprint bug, trying to find root cause, tried a couple things, didn't work. Like just some sort of communication about the issue, just so I think the player base as a whole knows that, like, hey, this has not been forgotten about. This is still being looked into. But that's just my list. That's just like a list of stuff I came up. If you guys have any quality of life stuff that you think should be added to the game that wasn't on my list, love to hear what you guys have to say, and please leave a comment below. I'd also like to hear what you guys think about my ideas. Or do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? A little impractical? Should be in the game already? Interested in what you guys think. Like I said, please leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to reply to every single one of them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the ESO Fireside Chat podcast. Please leave a like on it if you did. And of course, guys, to make this series even easier for me, if you have anything that you guys want me to talk about, any podcast ideas that you want me to do, leave a comment below, and your suggestion may one day become a video. And if you guys liked this, like more PvP footage, builds, beginner guides, etc., please hit that sub button as well as hit the little bell to make sure to keep notifications on. So thank you guys so much for watching my video today. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you in the next one.